Hey leaders, I want to talk to you guys about something that it's not a typical topic that I go over. So I want to talk to you guys about more of the admin side, kind of the numbers and the reports and how to use the reports in the back office that the company has given us in the most effective way so that you can hyper focus on growth in your teams and so that you can look at it from a logical perspective as far as how you're going to get to the next rank, not just, a lot of times, most of my videos and a lot of the stuff we share is about, how to be supportive of your team and how to encourage them. And, and we do a lot of that type of motivating stuff. But I think it's really important to know kind of the nuts and bolts and how to figure out the numbers for yourself. So all of these tools are at our fingertips. So I want to talk to you about three things that you should be tracking as a leader, as a Gold and Above ambassador. Three things that you should be looking at the end of every single month, or kind of, I usually do this on the first day of a new month. I look back at the last month. So the three things that you should be tracking as a leader, as someone that has a team and that is someone that is looking to grow their business and to promote to the next rank. The three things are, the first is you should be looking at the new ambassadors that have been added to your team in that month. The second thing that you should be looking at is attrition. Now, attrition is really just the potential points that were added to the team versus the actual points that you've added. And then the third thing that you should be looking at is your points per leg report, so that you can see who is growing, who it might be stagnant, and where there might be bleeding, gushing from your team. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to show you the reports. We're going to do a little bit of Excel or numbers if you're on a Mac talk. So I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to show you a document that I created for you guys to use to track these three things. So here we go. I'm going to share. And I'm going to use Nate's back office so that the reports are smaller, so they're easier to see and manipulate for you guys as an example. So the first thing I want to show you is this document that I put together for you to use. I'll upload this to the team page so that you can print it out. It's January through December, so you can print it out once and have it for every single month of the year. And I'm just going to use May as an example, and I'm going to fill this out and show you how to use it. So it's really pretty self-explanatory, so hopefully just watching this once and printing it out will be useful for you, but then you can come back and if you're confused about how to do the math on anything, you can watch this video again. So you're just going to go down the line and fill it in. So let's say May, you ended just hypothetically at like 320 points. At the end of May. Then the next line is the total new and upgraded ambassadors, because remember, we're talking about three things you need to track. The first thing is new ambassadors that have been added to your team. So to figure out that, you're going to log into your back office and go to your detailed genealogy report. And hopefully this will work while we're on here. Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed, but in your detailed genealogy report, there is this little drop down right here that you can change. It's automatically set to the current month. You can drop down and go to 3 months back. So I'm going to go to May, just for example, and you're going to push enter after you pick whichever month and wait for it to refresh the report. And then over here, again, I don't know if you know this, but if you hover over this little folder icon, it will give you the option to download the report. You click on it, and it starts to download. So then I'm going to open this report. It comes up as a .csv file, which means you can open it in Excel if you're on a PC, or you can open it in Numbers if you're on a Mac. So it comes up like this. Now, I want to stop right here and say, do not be scared. If you are somebody who's never used Excel or Numbers before, this might look like a whole lot of scary mumbo jumbo and numbers, but it's not. It's actually really simple to use. And if you just know how to do a couple of things, you can use this to your advantage and save you tons of time. So again, what you're looking at here is your May report, all downloaded in an Excel document. So, oops. we are attempting to fill in these 3 lines about our new ambassadors. So if we want to figure out how many total new ambassadors we had in the month of May, we're going to go to the upgrade column here and extend it so you can see it really nice and pretty. And if you have never used Excel before, this might be something new to you, but you can, or you might already know this if you do use Excel, but you just click this little drop down arrow and you can sort ascending or descending. And I always forget which one, but descending, let's try that. That gives me, yeah, here we go. This is what we want. So this puts it in order from by month. So you can see that all of the May upgrades or new ambassadors are all right here at the top now. So I'm going to highlight all of my May ambassadors, my new ambassadors in May. I'm going to just drag all the way down so that I can get them all together. And then I'm going to do copy. So you can right click and copy. I just did the keyboard commands. And then this little plus right here, in Excel it's at the bottom, but you just do that and it creates a brand new sheet in the same book. And you click and paste. And there, now we have it all separate. It's just the new ambassadors that joined in May. So you can see all these people here. It just gives you the ability to see it very clearly. We have added in a total of 11 new ambassadors in May. So I'm going to go back to my document and fill that in. Total new and upgraded ambassadors in May, 11. Now, total levels 1 through 7. It's for most of you, it's going to be the same. But if you have a deeper team, then it's really important to keep an eye on that too, that your growth is all in levels 1 through 7, because that's what you get paid on. And then the final and the most important thing to figure out here is the new and upgraded ambassadors in your levels 1 through 3, because you're getting the most points from your levels 1 through 3, and that's how you promote. So you want to focus, you want to make sure that your team is growing in the top 3 levels of your team so that you can continue to grow and promote Rank Advance. So what I'm going to do here to figure that out, to make this very, very easy, I'm going to make sure that that's unfrozen and hopefully that works. So again, I'm just going to sort this column just like I did on the other sheet. I do the little arrow. I'm going to sort ascending. So I feel like that. Let's try sort descending. So either way, it froze the top row, which is making it a little bit confusing, but you can go either way. But that just makes it easy to see. This is going from 7 down to 1. So I can see 2, level 2s, level 3s, level 4s, and my 3 stuck up there. But anyway, so if we go ascending, that puts them in an order that makes more sense to me. So all of my levels 1 through 3 are up here at the top. So I can see right here is levels 3, my last one. So I have 8 levels 1 through 3 that were added in the month of May. So I'm going to track that. And then, as the months go on, you can compare that. You can take this information and say, okay, I'm going to focus on my levels 1 through 3. I'm going to incentivize them. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing Zoom calls with my levels 1 through 3 so that they grow, and so that the momentum stays up at the top for you. So that's the easiest way to figure out how many levels 1 through 3 you added. Now the next line here is the potential points added in May. So this line and the actual point difference in June, these two are the way that you figure out attrition, which is people falling off. So you need both of these numbers to figure out what your attrition rate is. So the way to figure out the potential points added in May, we're going to go back to the same document, and I'm just going to right click on this column and add a column before it. And what I also like to add a row at the top so that I don't forget or get confused that this column is the level that they are to me, and this column I'm going to be inserting the number of points that produces. So a level 3, you get 5 points. 5 for level 2. I'm talking pay points here. 5 for level 3. When we get to level 4s, we only get 4 points. And level 7s, you get 1 point. So you can do that by hand. You can even do this on paper if you really want to, but I promise this is way faster way to do it. Okay, so here is my big Excel document training piece. This is about all I remember from high school when I took computer class, but it has served me well. So if you can remember this, if you can commit it to memory or even write it down, this formula will save you so much time, especially as your team grows and you have these bigger reports that are not as manageable. So I'm going to teach you a formula that will quickly calculate the total number of points here that you have without having to go through individually and use a calculator and count them. So if you want to add anything in this column, you're going to use a formula. So the formula always starts with the equal symbol. So you're going to say equals, and then you're going to type in sum, S-U-M, and you're going to do a left parentheses, and then you type in whatever cells that you want to add. So I'm going to start with D2 with no spaces, and then I do a little colon, which means everything between D2 and whatever else I tell it, and I want to go all the way down to D12. So D2 to D12, no spaces, and then I put a right parentheses to close it, and I hit enter. And ta-da, it did the math in 1 second. So equals sum parentheses, D2 to D12, end parentheses, and you hit enter, and it does the math very quickly for you. It's especially helpful if you have a really big, long report. If you don't, and if you're scared of learning something new, you can still always do that. Just add them all up in the calculator. So anyway, there's our number, 49. That's how many potential points we added in the month of May. So I'm going to input that here, 49 points. Now, the actual point difference in June, as you can see here, I put a little reminder, fill this out on the last day of June. So if I'm at the beginning, ideally what I'm doing is I'm filling this out on June 1st because I pulled all of my May reports so that I can enter all of this information. So then when I go back, I'm gonna, on the last day of June, I'm gonna enter what my points actually ended at. So I'm just gonna make this number up, but let's say you ended your points at 300 and let's say you ended your points at 365. Yeah, let's say you ended your points at 355. Then you can take a look at that and say, okay, if I had zero attrition, if no one left my team, if everybody stayed on, everybody had their backup orders process, then I had zero attrition. That means that we had the potential to add another 49 points. So if I was starting at 320 points in May, I could have ended at 369. But if at the end of June, I actually only ended at 355, that means that there was some attrition, that some people went away. So we had enough growth to go forward, but we didn't get to cash in essentially on all 49 of those points. That's still good growth. You're going to have attrition. Attrition is never ever going to be 0%. It's just not reality. You're always going to have people leaving, and it's almost like a 1/3 kind of principle. So 1/3 of your team is coming in, they're new ambassadors, 1/3 is probably working, and then 1/3 is probably leaving. They're probably turning their auto qualification off. So this is just a number that you really do need to know for yourself, so that you can see, okay, well, we added this many people, we had a potential points of 49, we still went up, but we didn't, attrition is about whatever percentage. You can do the math and figure out that percent if you want to. I think it's just good to be aware of the fact that you had potentially 49 points, and instead you went up 14. So there you go. That might be right. No, sorry. 355 minus 320. 35. You increased 35 points instead of 49. So that means you lost out on 14. There we go. So that's almost what 5, 10, 15. That's almost probably 3 people that turned off their auto qualification. So that seems about right for this type of size of team. So hopefully I didn't lose you. Again, we're on number 2 of the 3 things that you should be tracking every month. Number 1, the first thing you're tracking is the new ambassadors. Number 2 is attrition, which is right here. That's the potential points you added versus the actual point difference that you go up. Or down, but hopefully you're going up because we're focusing on growth. And then number 3, the third thing that I want you guys to be tracking and paying attention to is your points per leg, who your strongest legs are and what they are doing. Now, a leg, you'll hear this term thrown around. Our compensation plan is created so that you have to have at least 2 strong legs. That means 2 people that you've personally sponsored, level 1s, that are building strong teams. So at each rank promotion, there's a minimum outside your strongest leg that you have to maintain so that you can't just ride the coattails of one person that's working and kind of kick back and do nothing. You have to make sure that you have at least 2 strong legs. If you want to go faster, if you are not happy with the pace of your journey and you want to see it go faster, then you need to sponsor more level 1s and find more people who just take this opportunity and run with it, with you running alongside of them, encouraging them, inspiring them by sponsoring as many people as you possibly can and talking to potentials and setting that example for them. So I want you to be tracking your strongest 3 to 5 legs. And Plexus makes this really easy for us, but I think this report is actually really underutilized. And I would not be surprised if some of you guys don't even know this exists. But if you go to your reports tab and go down to points per leg, it's kind of cool. It lists all of your level 1s, and it might be a little bit confusing because toward the bottom it includes some of your customers. But so here are all of your level 1s, and it shows you what these 2 columns say: potential points and points, but they're always the same. So, and here you also have the ability to go back. So I'm going to go back to May, and it starts to load. And as you can see, these columns are always the same, but what you can do here is if you're on a PC, you can also download this report. For whatever reason on a Mac, it puts it in a really weird format. So all I do is highlight this and I copy and paste it into a new numbers page. So I just paste. And there's all my information. The only reason I do this is so that I can manipulate it easier, because it doesn't give you the option to click these headers. It won't sort it. All I want to do is sort it so that I can see it easily. So I want to say sort descending so that the biggest number's at top. So I can see right here, here's my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my top 5 strongest legs on this team. And I want to just write them down so that I'm tracking them. What's showing in this report, these numbers are how much points they're producing to you. So, for example, so let's say it showed me that Carissa was my strongest leg. So I'm going to go back and fill her in right here and say, okay, Carissa, and the points she produced me is 165. Now this number is going to be different than the number of points that she personally has. And I want to keep track of that so that I know how to encourage her, how to strategize with her, because I know how close she's getting to her next rank, that type of thing. So if I go back and look, she herself had 179 points, which produced me 165 points because of compression and all that. So again, I'm just going to go through and fill that out for my top 3 to 5 strongest legs so that I know I can then see, because this is all on the same page. So if I go back and track Carissa next month in June and Carissa's numbers are down, then I go, oh no, okay, there's some bleeding. Let's stop the bleeding before it turns into a tragedy. We don't want her to be going backwards in points. We want her team to be growing. So then I know, okay, I need to focus on Carissa. We're going to talk about, what we can do to get her, her team growing and all that type of thing. So again, I hope this helps. I'm going to upload that document, the tracker, for you guys to use. Again, this is really intended for gold and above ambassadors, because if you're under gold, you really don't have these types of numbers to be looking at. Your focus should be getting to gold and growing that team. So again, just to summarize, the 3 things that you guys should be tracking on a monthly basis in order to focus on growth is 1, the new ambassadors that are added to your team. 2, attrition, which is the potential points that you've added versus the actual points that you increase by. And 3 is the points per leg report, so that you can identify who is growing, who is stagnant, or who might be bleeding that you need to stop the bleeding. So I hope that helps, and I love you all. Go Plexus.